The British royal family, a symbol of tradition and continuity, is wrapped in a cloak of fascinating and sometimes strange rules, ranging from the mundane to the bizarre. These rules dictate every aspect of their lives. Let's take a look at 15 of these unique secret rules, starting with the unexpected ban on a popular board game. Number 1. No monopoly for the royals. When it comes to the British royal family, even their leisure activities are governed by unspoken rules. One of these strange rules has to do with the popular board game Monopoly. It's hard to imagine a world without this classic business and property trading game. It has been a staple in many homes for generations. However, according to a rule, the royal family is forbidden from playing Monopoly. This surprising revelation was made by the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, during a public event in 2008, during a visit to a youth organization. They gifted him the game. In response, he said that we were not allowed to play Monopoly at home. It's just too vicious. This comment suggests that the competitive nature of the game can lead to arguments, something the royal family presumably prefers to avoid. At first glance, this rule may seem a bit excessive. Still, it might be understandable when you consider the potential dynamics of a real Monopoly game. Let's imagine what is at stake in a game in which real estate owners play at buying and selling properties. The symbolism could be way too exaggerated. Plus, the public display of ruthlessness, business acumen, and competitiveness necessary to win at Monopoly. It may not fit the dignified and serene image that the royal family tries to maintain. They are expected to embody grace, courtesy, and nobility, characteristics that can sometimes contrast with the ruthless strategy of Monopoly. Another perspective to consider is the game's potential to imitate or parody upper-class privileges. The royal family's refusal to participate in a game like this could be seen as a conscious effort to avoid appearing tone-deaf or insensitive to the economic struggles that many face. The Monopoly ban in the royal family is more than just a quirky rule. To avoid appearing tone-deaf or insensitive to the economic struggles that many face. The ban on Monopoly in the royal family is more than just a bizarre rule. It's a reflection of their commitment to maintaining a certain image, avoiding family disputes, and showing sensitivity to issues of wealth disparity. While it may seem unusual to us, it's a rule that fits into the unique world of the royal family. Number 2. Members of the royal family and seafood. A forbidden delicacy. One might think that being royal means having a free pass to indulge in all sorts of luxuries, from the finest Wagyu beef to the most exquisite caviar. However, contrary to these assumptions, the royal family has to adhere to some surprising dietary restrictions. One example of this is the rule that prohibits the royal family from consuming seafood. At first glance, this rule may seem puzzling, even somewhat arbitrary. After all, seafood is considered a delicacy and a staple in many fine dining establishments, but the reasoning behind this rule is based on a practical concern for the health and well-being of royalty. Shellfish, which includes crustaceans such as lobster and crab, as well as mollusks such as clams, mussels, and oysters, has long been associated with an increased risk of foodborne illness. This is largely due to the bacteria, viruses, and toxins they can harbor. If they're not handled and cooked properly, a bout of food poisoning from spoiled seafood could put a royal out of commission for several days. This, in turn, could disrupt your commitments and duties, a scenario best avoided. Additionally, shellfish is a common allergen. Given the large number of public engagements the royals attend, often related to food, it makes sense to eliminate any potential triggers that could cause an allergic reaction. The seafood ban for the royal family isn't just an eccentric rule, but a pragmatic tradition aimed at protecting the royals from potential health risks. Like many royal rules, it reveals a fascinating interplay between the practical and the symbolic, tradition and modernity, but a pragmatic tradition aimed at protecting the royals from potential health risks. As with many real rules, it reveals a fascinating interplay between the practical and the symbolic, tradition and modernity, and public duty versus personal choice. In this way, even their food choices highlight the unique position that members of the royal family hold, in which even a meal isn't just a meal, but a consideration of duty, health, and tradition. Number 3. The taboo on foreign languages. The rules of the British royal family go beyond dietary restrictions and games. It also affects their interaction with languages. Interestingly, it's considered taboo for members of the royal family to speak a foreign language in public. This rule, like many others, has its roots in historical precedents and practical needs. Restricting the public use of foreign languages by the royal family is often seen as a means of maintaining neutrality and avoiding potential political or diplomatic missteps, with English as the global lingua franca. It's a safer option. It minimizes the risk of miscommunication or unintentional offense that could arise from language barriers or misunderstandings. But the rule also has a symbolic purpose. As representatives of Great Britain, the royals' use of English is a goal. It reinforces its cultural and historical significance. In a way, their exclusive use of English in public acts as a reaffirmation of their British identity and their role as national figures. However, despite their language skills, they are rarely heard speaking in public in any language other than English. The exceptions are usually formal occasions or state visits, where speaking the host country's language can be seen as a sign of respect and goodwill. The royal family's language rule is a testament to their intricate role as both private individuals and public figures. It serves as an indicator of their nationality and as a diplomatic tool, highlighting the delicate balance they must maintain in their interactions both at home and on the international stage. It's just another thread in the rich tapestry of rules and traditions that make up the unique world of the British royal family. Number 4, the art of gifting to royalty. When it comes to royalty, even the act of gifting is subject to specific rules. Over the years, members of the British royal family have received countless gifts from well-meaning people all around the world. But, without many knowing it, there is a unique system that governs the acceptance and handling of these gifts. The protocol states that all gifts received by the royal family during official engagements are considered official gifts, not personal. This means that they technically belong to the crown. This rule applies regardless of the size or value of the gift or who it was given to, whether it's an adult or a child who is a member of the royal family. Secondly, this protocol aims to maintain the impartiality of the royal family. Accepting personal gifts could be perceived as a sign of favoritism or an attempt to curry favor with someone. That doesn't align with the role of royalty as a neutral public figure. The royal family's official gift policy outlines how gifts should be handled. It states that gifts can be kept or used, but they cannot be sold or exchanged. They can also be added to the royal collection, which includes art, jewelry, and other items of cultural or historical significance. They can also be donated to museums or other organizations, or allocated for charitable works. However, it's important to note that the rules about gifts don't mean that royalty can't appreciate or enjoy the gifts they receive. Many members of the royal family have been seen using or wearing their gifts on various occasions. Prince George, for example, was photographed playing with a toy wombat that he was given during a royal tour of Australia. These unusual procedures exemplify the fascinating ways in which the British royal family must conduct themselves in their public roles. Even when it comes to something as seemingly simple as accepting a gift, they reflect a careful balance between personal appreciation and public duty, highlighting another dimension of the complex web of traditions and protocols of royalty. Number 5. The power of the Queen's handbag. In the world of the British royal family, even an ordinary item like a handbag is not free from peculiar rules and meanings. Specifically, Queen Elizabeth II's handbag plays a significant role, both functionally and symbolically. As expected, the Queen's handbag is not just a fashion accessory, but a tool for nonverbal communication. While it's known that the Queen carries a handbag, many are unaware of its unique role in royal protocol. Without most people knowing, Queen Elizabeth uses her handbag to silently signal her aides. Depending on where and how she places it, it sends different messages, allowing her to subtly express her wishes without disrupting the decorum of a public event or conversation. Although the Queen's handbag undoubtedly carries practical items like glasses, a compact mirror, and lipstick, it's not the contents of the handbag, but its strategic placement that really illustrates its power. In this sense, the Queen's handbag transcends its role as just an accessory, and it becomes a tool for silent communication, a discreet yet effective way to take charge in the room. This rule also underscores the immense thought and careful choreography that goes into the seemingly effortless behavior of the royal family. Every action is considered for its implications. It's considered for its implications and interpreted by those in the know. The power of the Queen's handbag goes far beyond its stylish exterior and practical uses. Number 6. Royal family members and a line that shouldn't be crossed. One of the most important, though often misunderstood, rules that the British royal family must follow is their abstention from politics. This ranges from not voting in elections to avoiding public expressions of political opinion. Is their abstention from politics. This ranges from not voting in elections to avoiding public expressions of political opinion. Maintaining political neutrality is considered an essential part of their role as constitutional monarchs and representatives of the nation. This rule has its roots in the constitutional framework of the United Kingdom. The monarchy serves as a symbol of continuity, unity, and national identity, with the Queen acting as the apolitical head of state. Instead, the elected government, led by the Prime Minister, is responsible for political decision-making and policy. The royal family also avoids publicly expressing their personal political opinions, both on national and international issues. In this way, they ensure that they remain a unifying figure above political strife. The careful delineation between the royal family and politicians underlines their unique role within the UK's democratic system. Their political neutrality allows them to serve as a symbol of national unity and continuity, regardless of the changing political landscape. This rule is not without its challenges and criticisms, especially in a world where political and social issues are increasingly intertwined. However, the royal family continues to navigate these complexities, sticking to the principle of political impartiality that has guided the British monarchy for centuries. The political abstention of royalty is a crucial part of its constitutional role. It reinforces their position as neutral figures who exist above the political sphere, representing all citizens, regardless of their political leanings. It's a fascinating aspect of the royal protocol that highlights the careful balance they must maintain in their public functions and duties. Number 7. Royal family members and autographs. Surprisingly, among the myriad of rules and protocols that the British royal family must follow, there's one that's quite peculiar that prohibits them from signing autographs. If you ever run into a member of the royal family, don't expect to get their autograph as a keepsake. This rule exists mainly to prevent potential fraud. There are fears that autographs could be copied or forged and therefore misused. To avoid this risk, royal family members are advised not to sign their names on anything that isn't official. However, this rule hasn't been strictly followed by all members of the royal family at all times. There have been cases where members of the royal family, like Prince Charles, have skipped this rule. This rule, especially when he signed a piece of paper for a victim of the Cornwall floods in 2010. Instead of his full name, he wrote, Charles, 2010, thus respecting the spirit of the rule while offering comfort in a difficult situation. This autograph rule, while relatively minor in the grand scheme of royal duties and responsibilities, offers an insightful look at how far the royal family must go to protect their signatures and, by extension, their identities. Number 8. No informal meals for the royals. It offers an insightful look at how far the royal family must go to protect their signatures and, by extension, their identities. Number 8. No informal meals for the royals. At mealtime, the royal family follows a series of protocols that make even the simple act of eating not casual. One of the most well-known rules is that everyone must stop eating when the Queen finishes her meal. It is believed that this tradition originated as a sign of respect towards the monarch. Ensure that meals are formal and adhere to a specific schedule, in line with the decorum expected at royal gatherings. If the Queen has finished her meal, it's a signal for everyone else to do the same, regardless of whether they've satisfied their appetite or not. This rule applies not only to the royal family, but also to anyone who has the honor of dining with the Queen. Although this rule may seem intimidating, it is important to note that Queen Elizabeth is known for being a considerate hostess, aware of the needs of her guests. That's why she takes her time to make sure her guests enjoy their meal. This rule exemplifies the formality and structure that underpin royal life, extending even to their dining habits. It's a reminder of the traditions and etiquette that the royals are expected to uphold, turning even everyday activities into acts of protocol. Number 9. The strict royal dress code. Fashion and style aren't just a matter of personal preference for the British royal family. It's also about adhering to a strict dress code, from hat etiquette to the length of hems. A countless number of rules govern the royal wardrobe, ensuring they present an image that matches their royal status at all times. For example, the women in the royal family must wear hats at formal events. A countless number of rules govern the royal wardrobe, ensuring they present an image that matches their royal status at all times. The women in the royal family, for example, must wear hats at formal events, a tradition that dates back to a time when it was considered improper for ladies to show their hair in public. However, starting at 6 p.m., hats are replaced by tiaras. For married women at formal events, modesty is key in royal attire. Dresses and skirts should fall just below the knee, and shoulders are usually covered. In particular, Queen Elizabeth II often wore bold, monochromatic outfits to stand out in the crowd during her public appearances. Men are not exempt from the dress code either. For daytime engagements, they usually wear a military uniform or a knee-length coat and a tie, while for evening events, formal attire or, occasionally, state dress is required. These rules, although slightly relaxed over time, still significantly influence the royal family's fashion choices. Each outfit is carefully chosen to balance personal style with the demands of royal protocol, reflecting the family's respect for tradition while staying in tune with contemporary trends. Number 10. The Royal Mourning Protocol. Even in times of personal grief, the royal family is bound by tradition and protocol. The mourning period that follows the death of a close family member is marked by several distinctive practices. Royal family members must wear black or dark colors during the mourning period, a common practice in many cultures. This extends to all public appearances, as well as private moments when they might be photographed. Public engagements are usually canceled or postponed during the official mourning period, unless they are deemed appropriate for the circumstances. This is done out of respect for the deceased, and so the family has time to mourn. Even when traveling, the royal family is prepared for such occasions. It's customary for all members of the royal family to wear mourning attire when they travel. This way, they make sure they're dressed appropriately to return to the UK in case of a death. In the family, the mourning protocol is a reminder of the royal family's responsibility to uphold traditions, even in their most personal moments. Despite their grief, they continue to fulfill their duties to the nation, and their behavior serves as a public expression of the collective mourning of the country. Number 11. The significance of tiaras in the royal family. In the British royal family, wearing tiaras isn't just about luxury and grandeur, but it's steeped in tradition and etiquette. These ornate headdresses, which often adorn the heads of royal women at formal events, are governed by a set of specific rules. Mainly, tiaras are reserved for married women. Single women or very young women in the family don't wear tiaras. That's why royal watchers eagerly anticipate a royal wedding. It's usually the first time a royal bride is seen wearing a tiara. The bride usually chooses the tiara from the royal collection. The wedding day marks her transition into royal life. Also, tiaras are only worn at specific events, like state banquets or receptions, and never before 6 p.m. This rule aligns with the idea that tiaras, along with full evening gowns, are meant for formal occasions. Wearing tiaras in the royal family is more than just a fashion choice. They're meant for formal occasions. The use of tiaras in the royal family is more than just a fashion choice. It's a status symbol and a nod to tradition. Tiaras themselves often have historical significance, as they are passed down from generation to generation. They serve as a link to the past and carry with them the stories of the royal women who wore them. Number 12. Royalty and their Christmas traditions. Christmas is a time for traditions, and this is especially true for the royal family. Every year, the royal family follows a series of Christmas customs filled with history and family values. One of those traditions is the royal family's annual Christmas walk to St. Mary Magdalene Church in Sandringham. It's a practice that has been maintained for decades. It's one of the few occasions when the public can see the royals in private, and many gather to greet them. The royals also exchange gifts on Christmas Eve, a nod to their German heritage. However, the gifts that the royal family gives to each other are usually not lavish, but rather humorous and budget-friendly. The Queen's Christmas message is another key tradition that is passed on to the nation and the Commonwealth. It usually reflects on the main events of the year and shares the Queen's opinion on Christmas and its meaning. Despite their royal status, the British royal family's Christmas traditions are rooted in family and togetherness. Even though they stick to protocol, they focus on spending time together as a family, a sentiment that many share during this festive season. Number 13. The ins and outs of royal travels. Traveling may seem simple for most of us, but for the British royal family, it's a matter filled with protocol and procedures. These rules, some well-known and others not, they dictate everything, from who they can travel with, to what they can pack in their suitcase. One of these rules prevents two heirs to the throne from traveling together. This tradition, designed to protect the royal lineage, means that Prince William and his children, being direct heirs, usually don't fly on the same plane. However, this rule has been relaxed in recent years. They usually don't fly on the same plane. However, this rule has been relaxed in recent years, since the Queen has granted permission for William and his family to fly together. Royals are also expected to wear black mourning attire wherever they go. This way, they ensure that they are dressed appropriately. In the event that a member of your family dies during your stay abroad, this practice dates back to 1952. When Queen Elizabeth, then a princess, was in Kenya and King George VI passed away. He had to wait inside his plane upon arrival in England until they brought her a black dress, since she didn't have one in her suitcase. Royal tours are meticulously planned events requested by the UK government to foster diplomatic relations. Each visit requires detailed planning and adherence to etiquette, ensuring respect for the host country's customs and traditions. Each visit involves thorough planning and adherence to etiquette rules that ensure respect for the customs and traditions of the host country. So, royal travels are not just an obligation, but they are carried out with grace. The poise and meticulousness that characterize much of their public life. Number 14, the unusual attire at royal births. Royal births are momentous occasions, marked by centuries-old customs that might seem peculiar to outsiders. These traditions range from the announcement of the birth to the selection of godparents. Historically, home births were the norm for royal babies. Queen Elizabeth II herself was born at her grandparents' home in London, and she gave birth to her 4 children at home. It wasn't until the births of Prince William and Prince Harry that hospital births became the norm for the royal family. Another deeply rooted tradition, but one that has since disappeared, was the presence of the Home Secretary at royal births. This practice, designed to ensure that the baby was a legitimate heir, ended before the birth of Queen Elizabeth II. The announcement of the birth is another ceremonial process. An official notice is placed on an easel at the gates of Buckingham Palace. A custom that adapted to the digital age with the births of Prince William and Kate Middleton's children. Since the news was also announced on social media, the selection of godparents is another aspect steeped in tradition. Royal babies often have numerous godparents, usually chosen from a mix of close friends, members of the family and members of foreign royalty, reflecting their position on the world stage. These customs, some of which have evolved over time, contribute to the unique nature of royal births, blending the personal joy of welcoming a new family member with the ceremonial importance that comes with a potential future monarch. Number 15, the rules of succession in the royal family. The line of succession to the British throne is a fascinating mix of history, tradition, and ever-evolving legislation. This crucial aspect of the monarchy is governed by several fundamental rules that have been refined over the centuries. Historically, the principle of male preference was followed. Primogeniture, which meant that brothers always preceded their sisters in the line of succession. However, with the approval of the Succession to the Crown Act in 2013, this rule was changed to absolute primogeniture, which allows the eldest child, regardless of gender, to precede their siblings. This marked a milestone in the modernization of the monarchy. This allows the eldest child, regardless of their gender, to precede their siblings. This marked a milestone in the modernization of the monarchy by promoting gender equality in the royal succession process. Another long-standing rule excludes Catholics from the line of succession, stemming from a tumultuous history of religious conflict. The Act of Settlement of 1700 stipulated that only Protestant heirs could ascend to the throne. Although the 2013 law removed the ban on heirs to the throne marrying a Catholic, the monarch, as the head of the Church of England, is still required to be in communion with the Church of England. Additionally, a royal member's position in the line of succession can be affected by marriage. As the head of the Church of England, they are still required to be in communion with the Church of England. In addition, a royal's position in the line of succession can be affected by marriage. Royal members must seek the sovereign's approval to marry, as established in the Royal Marriages Act of 1772. The Succession to the Crown Act of 2013 updated this requirement. limiting it to the first 6 people in the line of succession to the throne. Understanding the rules of royal succession gives a critical insight into the intricate workings of the monarchy. Even though it might seem distant from the everyday life of royalty, the line of succession plays an influential role in shaping the future of the monarchy. It dictates the upbringing of, the roles they take on, and how they navigate their public and private lives.